Shall we begin?
Yeah, let's begin.
Okay, so Shannon, let's it would be wonderful to just get centered and begin our conversation with a little bit of breath work, maybe just to bring us into this session today. So just take a deep breath in and out. What do you notice right now, just as we're starting our conversation?
I
Coaching.
notice like a feeling of relaxation and also like a little bit of like tension here, a little bit of heaviness, maybe not tension, maybe heaviness right in my
Ah,
shoulders.
okay, okay. It's sort of contrasting this it's just like a range, a spectrum.
Yes.
You notice, so we can be both relaxed and also alert is what I'm sensing.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that true
Yeah.
for you?
It's like, I think the word I would use is ready,
All
like
righty
sort
then.
of like
Woo.
ready.
All
I
right.
mean,
Okay, well, our conversation today is about really getting an understanding what coaching is. And I would love for us to partner together, which is part of what coaching is the partnership. And to get us, some layman's terms, words around what is coaching? How would you describe coaching? And I'll add to what you bring to the conversation.
yeah. Well, I think what I know about coaching is that it isn't like it's not as the client. I am not, I should, my expectation is that not that you fix things for me, right?
Mm,
Like I'm not coming to you so that you can tell me what to do. I'm coming to you so that you can maybe help me figure out what to do or help me figure out what's important or what I need to do next,
mm,
but not necessarily tell me or fix it or have all the answers necessarily.
mhm. I love what you're saying, and I'm hearing in that gaining clarity on what it is that's on your mind or in your heart, or what you're sensing around you. Uh, and also, it's an opportunity for us to partner together. And myself, as my role is to challenge your thinking, help you think about your thinking and
Yeah.
feeling. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that I'm looking forward to is being able to have the time to do that, right? Because in my day-to-day, with my family, with my work, with the other things that I have going on
Mhm.
in my life, I just have found that I don't take the time that I need in order to just stop and like think and reflect and be in conversation with somebody who's going to challenge that thinking. I have lots of friends who will listen to me all day long, but they don't always necessarily know how to challenge me, or that's not our relationship, right? Like we really support each other, but it's not there isn't that like real challenge necessarily that I get from my friends or
Yeah.
even from people who mentor me.
Yes. Well, you bring up a good point there. What is the difference for you between mentoring, a mentor and a coach?
Yeah, I feel like in the past with mentoring, what I've gained from a mentor is really being able to listen to their stories and how they have made decisions or how they have made choices, and what they know about the world based on their own experience, which is really helpful. But then as the mentee, like I kind of have to filter that and sort of decide, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for me on my own journey, in my own way, with my own values, with what I care about? So it's really getting the perspective of another person who has been on a similar journey, but maybe moving through it a little bit differently than other people might have, or that I might choose to.
Yeah. You bring up, so when you say similar journey, one of the things with coaching that's important is compatibility and chemistry, that
Mm,
we have a fit here. And
yeah.
so in our conversation, just the first time around is to assess that, to see where there's some, say affinity, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think you have like a really relaxed demeanor. Like I feel really comfortable talking to you, and you bring a really good energy to the conversation. So that to me feels like, I guess it feels like affinity. That feels like compatibility, just
Yeah.
having that comfort and feeling like I could bring any topic or any question or any concern to our conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And confidentiality is core to coaching and our any interaction that we have together. The confidentiality of a safe and a brave space, if you like.
Yeah.
I think a brave and safe, um, because sometimes coaching is uncomfortable
Yeah.
and there's learning in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how willing are you to be a little bit uncomfortable in our coaching?
Oh, I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I feel like this is like the time in my life where I need to do that. If I'm going to grow, if I'm going to learn, that I need to be okay with feeling uncomfortable as hard as it can be sometimes.
Yeah. It's the harder conversations, but they're real at the same time. There's that
Yeah.
natural connection to something important to you, your values, your beliefs. And so coming into coaching, right now we're getting a sense of working together. What are some key themes for you, or
Well,
topic?
there are a couple of things that are coming up. One, I'm really thinking about, I have this like really strong belief around the need for coaching in the profession of global health and global development. And I want to do more with that. Like, in addition to coaching people who work in that world, I want to be a real advocate for bringing those types of services into different types of nonprofits, NGOs, and different types of organizations that are doing purpose-driven work. So that's one theme that's coming up for me. But then you also have me thinking about a whole nother theme, which is in another part of my life. And that is this role that I have as a volunteer on a board of trustees for a local charter school. And I've been with that board now for almost 2 years. And I'm having some challenges, like kind of figuring out what my commitment is and how I want to be kind of showing up in that space. It's a little bit of a frustrating space, but an important one, and one that I really care about. It's a school that I really care about, and working alongside people who I really care for. So that's sort of another theme that's coming up, is how do I show up as a leader on this board?
Wow.
And then I think another piece too is, how do I do these two things that are really important to me while also like leading my family, taking care of my family, and taking care of myself. So it's not compartmentalizing myself and saying like, oh, I'm over here as the coach, I'm over here as the leader, and I'm here as like the mom and the parent and the neighbor. So I think there's some piece around integration, which is something that I've always worked on, but continually need to practice. How do I continue to be integrated?
You shared so much in such a short period of time. I'm like gathering it in my head. Yeah, wow. First of all, wow. That's such great reflection already. You demonstrated like a readiness for coaching, and that you're quite clear about what you want to work on and what's important to you, your values.
Yeah.
And what's, several things strike me, that I'd like to reflect back to you, just to get a sense of how it lands with you. One is, you've got key stakeholders in your life,
Yeah.
be it, the healthcare community, the nonprofit or volunteer community, and your family, you and your family.
Yeah.
And so one aspect of coaching is we're coaching you as a whole person, right? And when you said, how do I show up as a leader? Ooh, that like lights me up. This coaching is like coaching you as a person and how you show up in each of those domains or areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, where you would begin on any of those when we do continue to coach?
Um, Oh gosh, I don't know. That would be really hard for me to choose, but I know we have a board meeting coming up tomorrow. So that would probably be a really good place to start just because it's so like happening, about to happen.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds right.
Yes. And so the the topics that you mentioned that were kind of overarching will
Mhm.
continue to be a part of our coaching conversations. And then with your, with your guidance, then we would, hone in on an aspect of it so that you continue to see that clarity that, you're looking for. And so when you think about the board meeting, let's just practice this for a moment. When you think about the board meeting, what would you want to conclude with? Well, what is it about the board meeting that's got you thinking, I want to work on that?
Well, I think what I'm already worried about with this board meeting is that we have so many topics
Mm,
to cover in a very short amount of time.
mm,
And I I just get the sense that that for the past 6 months we've been talking about strategic planning for the next 5 years for the school, and it just keeps getting like kind of like swept under the rug because
mm,
of all of these other things that need to be decided or figured out, and they're very short-term things, which I understand. There's a lot of like short-term things that need to be dealt with in the context of a school, but it just feels like we don't have a North Star really, or the
mm,
North Star. There is a North Star. We know where we're headed. It's not been sort of refined and defined in the way that I want it to be.
mhm.
I want
You
it to
just
be a little bit more explicit.
you put your hand over your heart. So this has deep meaning for you.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and I think like articulating the why and a clear purpose and a strategy towards moving towards that important. I think that's such an important tool. I think strategy is such an important tool when trying to achieve a vision. And so it's like, yeah, it's really meaningful to me.
Yeah.
I see it as a huge missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, in our coaching conversation right now, what do you want to get clearer on or better at?
I think part of it is I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel resentful or annoyed during the meeting tomorrow, right?
Okay.
Like the agenda is set. We're going to talk about what we're talking about. This bigger thing that I have on my mind, like we might make a little bit of a dent in the conversation about strategy. But that's it. Like I don't want to be annoyed. I don't want to be resentful. I just want to know that like maybe this group works at a different pace than I do
Mm.
and be okay with that. But I'm like antsy. I'm like fidgeting just even thinking about that.
I can see that.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
happy. I'm not comfortable with that.
Well, we talked earlier about being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that discomfort, this discomfort right now?
I guess it just makes me think like, is this where I want to put my time and effort? Like, am I wasting my time with a group that maybe I'm not the best fit for, right? Like,
Mhm.
who am I saying? Maybe this approach that they're taking is the best approach for them and the best approach for the school.
Mhm.
Um, and my leadership and volunteer efforts, maybe they're better used somewhere else.
So Shannon, what is the real issue that we're talking about then?
I think it's what my commitment is, considering the way this group operates and not making them right or wrong, just knowing that it's really important that like that strategy, vision and strategy are really important to me. And I
Mhm.
believe in those things as a leader.
Mhm. Well, I'm hearing two things. One is, are my value, are, how are our values matched or mismatched?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, you're asking yourself. And then the second piece is, what's my commitment?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, it makes me think about like when our commitment changes, how do
Mm,
we do that? Maybe
mm,
my commitment is changing.
maybe your commitment is changing. What are you getting clear on right now that you would like to conclude with, in a sense, or continue to think about after we complete?
Yeah, I think it's more actually, like, it's so interesting how quickly that shift can happen. Like, just instead of feeling like antsy or like stressed about the meeting tomorrow, I'm actually feeling more curious about, well, let's see, and use my curiosity to help me maybe like gather some more information that helps me think about my commitment. Like, really just keep reflecting on learning more about them and how they work, this group.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, thinking about what that means for my commitment.
Mm. Let's go one level deeper. What do the board that you're meeting with, the group of people, what do they need from you, you think?
Well, I would like to think that they need my perspective. Um, whether they agree with it or not is another thing, right? So I've been sharing that perspective about strategy. And that might also be a question, not necessarily for this meeting, but just maybe after the meeting with them, which is, yeah, like, what is it that you most need from me? There are things that I do that I know they appreciate, but they're really like small things, right? Like note taking and like being organized. And I do know that they appreciate my perspective and my contribution. And but the question is, like, what is it about my leadership that they need and want, right? Because lots of people can take notes. Like everyone, we can all take notes. We can all help people organize their documents in a Google Drive. And that's not why I'm there. I'm there because I want to show up as a leader. So I think that's like that also just makes me curious about, what is that?
Yeah.
Or what is it that I want? Like, what do I want as a leader?
Yes. You asked yourself when we talked about the overarching themes, one connection point was, how do I show up as a leader? Leader of the household, family, leader of the community, leader in a healthcare. What's new for you now as we're speaking? What are you noticing? New or revalidated?
Oh yeah. I think what's new for me is this thought about how we keep choosing to, it's not like, so yes, I made this commitment to be with this 2 years ago, to be with this board for 3 years. And every time I show up at a board meeting, I'm recommitting, right? Even if it's just like in my own head or like on my own, I'm recommitting to being present, to listening, to learning from them, to sharing my perspective. Like it's constantly ongoing. It's not like you just sign up and then like sit back and let it go. So I think that that's what's becoming really clear to me, because I'm noticing how much effort and interest and how much I care about it now. And I guess it's just like an acknowledgement of that, Lucy.
Oh, that's pretty good. As I'm listening to you, I feel like I'm hearing a sense of commitment of some kind. What are you committing to for yourself and your stakeholders in this?
Yeah, I think right now I'm committing to continuing to learn and be curious without like making anything up or even like making up the ending, because the ending hasn't happened yet, right? Like there's still room and possibility for them to agree to move forward with some strategic planning. So I think that's it. It's not, yeah, like not getting worked up about it before I actually know before I have more information.
And that feels very much aligned with being curious.
Yeah.
Curiosity is, non-judgmental and objective
Mhm.
approach of communicating with others.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so what's one step in a sense towards that for you?
I think it's going to be sort of my mindset when the meeting starts tomorrow. So to just be curious, to really be present and not let any of these like resentful sort of annoyed thoughts like creep in, just really be excited to see all of the faces of the board members on the screen and be happy to see them, and then to just stay curious.
Very nice. To conclude our coaching conversation, any final thoughts just so you feel complete?
Yeah, no, I think it's just like so interesting to me that we started one place and ended up somewhere else that feels really meaningful, and helpful. So thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you, Shannon.